For example, for exterior wall, we need to, for each mat, each for each layer. If for example, we have a 3 layers, and 3 layers for one wall, for exterior wall, and we need to define information for each layer. For example, for the toughest layers, we need to add the name. For example, it's better to add the name, and for example, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, it's up to you, but it's better to do it maybe later. If we have a problem, we can come back and solve the problem. So, for example, for thickness, for conductivity, and for density, and for example, roughness, and other things, that information that we need to know about the types of the layers that we are using as a one of the layers of our wall. When you can add it to this component, to HVAC optic material, you can find this component on tab Energy Plus tab on part 1, construction. And just review everything that I have, that I did. You can use the construction for that. For option 2, you can customize and using the HP search construction, and use the Honeybee library. And you can customize each layer by using the Energy Plus, by using the energy Honeybee library. So let's go to organize this one. Okay, so it's the another way that you can use, and you need to use this component and add it the customize layers of material. For option 2, you can the same as option 1, you need to this component, but for adding the material, you need to add specific numbers for the material according to the catalog, or according to the information that you have. For you can use this part of construction tab to define the to my YouTube channel. Easy way to learn energy analysis. Uh, Today I'm gonna to learn the second part of the process of thermal comfort analysis for a medium office building. Let's go to add windows to our room. Please follow me to learn how you can add windows manually to your rooms. As I told, we have a two-way. First way is that is that we can use the percentages, and the second way is the way that I am using now. It's the adding manually windows to the building. So if you have, the special windows, you need to add this with this way. You can, add different types of the windows, is different shapes, and just you need to follow this way, and added the windows to your office, to your rooms, and let's go. Please choose the surface that you want to add. Please choose the surface, and it's important to, completely attach the windows to the, elevation and to the surface. If there is a, distances between them, you cannot, the result of the energy policies is wrong, and, the honeybee cannot recognize this is the windows, because there is a different distances between the, window surface and, elevation surface. It's important to completely attach to each other. So if you are planning to manually add windows, it is very, very important to completely attach surface of the window to surface of the elevation. So let's go for that. Please check all of the views, especially right front and top view, because sometimes when you are put a, you are drawing, a surface, it's not, put in, the surface, you know, not put in a right and exact place. So it's important to check everything's, use the, some tools like OSnap, Great Snap, or some things like that on Rhino to be sure everything's works very well, and the surface, the window surface, completely attach the elevation surface. As you can see, for example, on top view, this surface, it's uh, is not, in a correct place, and you need to move it, and check everything's, that the windows completely attached, surface windows completely attached to the surface elevation. Let's go for next surface. We can, check on a right view, and position of that, and check the top view. We can see it's the difference. Let me know to add another windows, and then move both of them in the correct position. Okay, great. Let's go for next. If you have a, different shapes, for example, circle window, you can add a circle window. It's completely easy. It's just the, all of the process is the same. It's not the differences between, a rectangular, surface and your circle surface. It's up to you to use any surface that you want. Let's go to define these windows to Honeybee. And first, you need to use the components that helps to add the windows and define the windows to the Honeybee. Let's go to Honeybee parts, and Honeybee tab, and on the first tabs is the create zero and the create part. You can see the different parts that divide with the line. you need to use the Honeybee add surfaces and choose and pick up this component, and then you need to add HP extruder border shades, and after that we need to add HB aperture. So let's go for introduces the surface, the window surface to the Honeybee. Just choosing the geometry and choose the surface. Please don't forget to interiorize the windows. And then uh, if you have, a special, it's better to have the names for that, because it's better to have the name, because later if you have any problem on the project and the windows, you can come back and easily find which windows have a problem. But especially if you have a large energy modeling and a large building, but it's a small building, and it can uh, doesn't add any name for that bit. But overall, and I always suggest you to have a number for windows for every shapes, every surface, and it helps later if you have a problem easily find it. If you have operable windows, you need to you know through the toggle. If not, you can just write the false, or just add a panel and false, or just I think it's the in the by default it's the false. But if you it's there's a opera you have a operable windows, you need to through the toggle and completely define it's the operable or not. Let's go to add to the HB zone, and then if you have let's go to add the tips. You can add anything, for example, mostly some, for example, for radiation and for some things like that, it's mostly used for visual comfort analysis, not for thermal comfort analysis. So it's, you are not, need to, add all the, numbers to everything that this component wants, because some of them just using for radiation analysis, for, visual comfort analysis. For thermal comfort analysis, you can use this, the deeps, introduce the deeps and introduce, the suit adds rooms, and it's the windows and the doors, and other surface that we, attach the, the main surface, consider as a subsurface. We can add it. If you have any doors, any interior doors or doors, exterior doors, you can add in this, completely like that. You can just use, the door, the components that, related to the doors, and just add it, you introduce the door and just add to the subsurfaces, or just, yeah, just attach, that component to the uh, HP objects component. Let's go to add a shading. Again, you have a two-way. It's completely like the windows. One of them is the manually add the shading. One of them is the, use the, percentage, or other, other components that you already you can find on Honeybee uh, plugin. But for now, I just wanted to add the, the shading. Shading to the Honeybee. We need to use the HP shade component. You can find it is on HP, tab on the zero grade, zero new tab, create tab, and then you can find it. Let's to introduce the, the surface to the, Honeybee. You need to use a geometry component, and then introduce this, shade and this surface as a shading. You need to use the HP shade component. You can add the names. You can, if you have special numbers for other information that this component HB shade component that you want, you can add it. If you have a special number for that, you can add it. But emphasize that you know some of these numbers just used for visual comfort analysis, not for thermal comfort analysis. But some of them is not necessary to add for the thermal comfort analysis. But sometimes we want to analyze thermal comfort and analyze visual comfort, for example daylight comfort, or energy you know um, analysis at the same process, and sometimes we need to add all of the numbers. But for now, I'm just going to add going to learn just for energy and thermal comfort analysis. So there's no need to add all of the numbers, and you can use the default numbers, and it is not necessary to add. So we need we need to add all of the shadings on one component. Later I learn you how you can do it. But for now, um just I'm planning to add um just a data component to add for for example for all of windows, and for all of shading we can use gather all of the shading for all of the rooms as a data, and then attach the data to the process. The same for for Windows, and both of them is you need to do it, or it's the one of the ways that you can gather all of the shading as a one data, as a one component, and gather all of the Windows as a one component, and add that data component to the process. Let's go and organize the canvas. It's an important part of any algorithmic process that you are writing on grasshopper. It's important to have an organization, and a good organization. So let's go to organize and write. For example, each part works for each, for example, for programming, for a schedule, and for other things. As I told you, for example, for programming we have a different way that we can add programming to the process. But uh, for that one I use the default. But now later I'm planning to learn you how the can add a different programming to the process. And if you, especially if you have a different programming and you don't want to, as a library, don't want to use the Honeybee library, and or use a default programming. Let's go to have a organization, good organization for our process. In As I told you, it's the default programming. But later I will change its programming to the another ways, and it helps you to learn how you can add the special programming to the process. This is the programming part. Let's to make a group. Let's make a color, different color, and let's to make a color for an instruct set as well. For example, for exterior wall, we need to for each mat each for each layer. If for example we have a 3 layers, and 3 layers for one wall for exterior wall, and we need to define information for each layer. For example, for the toughest layers, we need to add the name. For example, it's better to add the name, and for example, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, it's up to you, but it's better to do it maybe later. If we have a problem, we can come back and solve the problem. So, for example, for thickness, for conductivity, and for density, and for example, roughness, and other things that information that we need to know about the types of the layers that we are using as a one of the layers of our wall. When you can add it to this component, to HVAC optic material, you can find this component on tab Energy Plus tab on part 1, construction. And just review everything that I have that I did. You can use the construction for that. For option 2, you can customize and using the HP search construction and use the Honeybee library, and you can customize each layer by using the Energy Plus by using the energy Honeybee library. So let's go to organize this one. Okay, so it's the another way that you can use, and you need to use this component and add it customize layers of material. For option 2, you can the same as option 1, you need to this component, but for adding the material, you need to add specific numbers for the material according to the catalog or according to the information that you have. For you can use this part of construction tab to define